Hello, everybody. Do a quick check, make sure everybody can hear me okay. And I can't see you, so clap your hands if you can hear me okay. Thank you. So everybody can see the screen. And so my presentation today is Snapchat Lens Developers for the Win. And the reason I named it that title is like, if we love what you're doing, you're winning. And that is a... I'm sorry?
Move your mouse cursor.
Move my mouse cursor?
Yeah, it's in the middle of the screen.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So if you love what you're doing, you're winning. Just as a couple reminders, I'm on Discord. And Sarah, was there any other reminders just that we're on Discord? Okay, cool. Thank you. And one thing I do want to give everybody a heads up, I am hearing impaired. I wear hearing aids. So if you have any questions, if I'm having trouble understanding those questions, just feel free to come see me at the end of the presentation. All right, so because we all have been told several times that the internet is not reliable here, there's going to be a variety of screenshots, but everything is available in this Linktree link. You can take your phone. It worked for me earlier when I scanned the QR code, but I'll have that URL on some slides if there's anything you want to capture, throughout. So again, because I can't see anybody, just show me, or do a clap if you've ever used filters to show support for your favorite sport, music, event, etc. Thank you. Yeah. So you can see my team is the Bengals. Any Bengals fans here? But Bengals. So I like to make filters just to show support for a team, and they've got over the past few years, there's had over 3 million views and plays. Some have done very well, and some kind of, floundered, but you never know. And what I love about it is it combines technology, creativity, and curiosity. So one of the things that I do a lot is I'm an AWS instructor. Clap if you're familiar with AWS. Yes. So I'm an AWS authorized instructor, educator, solutions architect. I'm also a subject matter expert, which is basically I write content for courseworks related to web development, AWS, cybersecurity. I'm a digital marketer. My company is pretty nerdy, and I also host computer science workshops. My background before doing all that is I worked in higher ed for about 8 years. Do we have any educators here? Clap your hands. No educators, that's fine. But again, go back to if you love what you're doing, you're winning. I'm a big believer of just, ignoring all the noise that may come at you, and it's the advice I give to my son, who's 23. So the objectives for this lesson is to get started with Lens Studio, to break that learning curve with templates, talk about how Lens Studio uses JavaScript, and how this can also be used to add your own flair with custom art. So give me a clap if you're familiar with Lens Studio. Okay. Give me a clap if you use Snapchat. Okay. So what we're going to get started doing is with Lens Studio. It is something you do need to download, so here is not the place to do it because you need fast internet. But you need to be on a PC or a Mac. It is not web-based, unfortunately, so you just need to get started. It is an application that you have to download. And Lens Studio, after you download it, there's also additional resources. That's Camera Kit that you can use on your own custom iOS or Android apps or websites. You can have Snap Kit to integrate Snap features into applications. There's Spectacles, and there's APIs. And talking about Discord earlier, Snap even has their own Discord channel. Okay. So breaking the learning curve with templates. I'm a big believer that you want to learn the platform first. So like I said earlier, I used to teach higher ed, and I remember teaching Microsoft, just like something like Microsoft Word and Excel and PowerPoint. And we had to use a platform called SAM. Has anybody ever used SAM when you were in college? No, okay, it's horrible. You're fighting the platform so much that you're just completely missing the concept of learning Microsoft Word. And I remember having some students who were so dismayed because SAM was so convoluted that they were just like, is Microsoft Word really this hard? I'm like, no, it's not. This is just making it so much worse than it is. Now, Lens Studio is not like that, thankfully, but if you're not familiar with any kind of platforms that are similar to it, like Unity, clap of hands if you worked with Unity before? Okay, good. So if you're familiar with Unity, your learning curve is going to be fairly easy. But if you're not familiar with any of those type of platforms, it's a good idea to just get started, get accustomed to the platform first. And templates are a really great way of doing that. So the templates can provide a ready-to-build, customized filter, and Team Celebrate is one of my favorite filters to get started with, and it's actually the one that I use to create that one. And even though it's a static image, it's got confetti, face paint, bingles, and you can really customize it. So like I said earlier, I used to be a teacher, so if I get in teacher mode, that's just out of habit. And I still teach, just not in higher ed anymore. All right, so once you download Lens Studio, you're going to see a platform that looks similar to this. On the left-hand side, you have the home, templates, learn, and documentation. You can see where you can open up a new project, create a new project, open up a project, and you can see some of the recent projects that I've done. And just kind of give me, again, another clap. Who is interested in AR technology? Okay, good. Good. It's a lot of fun that you can do with it. A lot of fun things you can do with it, and it's such an interesting thing that you can have a different type of engagement with your audience. So what we're doing, this is the dashboard for the Team Celebrate filter. And this is the template, and I'm just kind of go over the layout. On the left-hand side, we have objects and resources. Objects, if you're starting with a template, it will already give you objects to play with. It'll give you some direction of do not edit or edit me. Resources are the same way. If you're selecting a template, it will give you some resources that are already pre-configured so you can have a starting point. The grid area, depending upon the filter that you're creating, you may or may not spend some time in the grid area. There is a logger, which is basically a console log. On the, towards the right-hand side, you have an inspector. And you can see the inspector is based off what is selected on the left-hand side, whether it's objects or resources. You can see the inspector of the Team Celebrate Controller Edit Me. And if you look on the left-hand side, it's Team Celebrate Controller Edit Me. You can see that there's transform, and then there's some characteristics that are part of this filter that we can customize to our liking. And on the far right side, you see the preview screen. Now you can actually turn this onto your webcam so that you can see how it look with yourself, or you can just leave it on, there's a variety of demographics you can select from, different colors, skin colors, hair color, etc. And you can just select which one you want to pick. So that's the layout we have so far, just on the basic template. So one of the things that I really like about creating Lens is like you can upload your custom images. And it's always interesting whenever I did these kind of computer science workshops at high schools and we start talking about Lens Studio. Once I give them like the layout, this is how you get started, and I was trying to continue in my teaching, and I realized nobody was paying attention to me. They were all doing their own thing. And they were exploring, they were playing, they were just doing all kinds of cool stuff. They had assets that they already created, whether it be 2D art or 3D art, and they figured out how to upload it, and then they were creating filters. They were playing with it. They were not ignoring me like bad. Their curiosity, they were completely engaged in what they were doing. And after I realized that was happening, I was like, I'm here if you need me. Keep playing. But what I have uploaded here is I have the Star Trek icon, and it's really simple. You hit the little plus symbol and you upload it. Nothing really outlandish from that. And on the far right-hand side, what I did, you can see the little thing pointing to it. Right now is the default, the team logo 01. This was part of the digital assets that was part of the template, and it's basically this little icon right here. So when I select that, my resources, I can always grab that same icon, that image, or whatever I selected. So it's a Star Trek icon. And then after that is added, you can see the team logo is now that Star Trek icon. And you can see that the logo has replaced to the icon there. Some of the other things that you can see that I've already kind of made edits to, and if we have time at the end of my presentation, I think this will work I can do this without the internet, but I've learned over years not to rely on anything live if you can avoid it. So we selected the primary colors, and you can select whichever one you want. You can use hex code values. So this is really great if you're trying to celebrate a particular team sport or any kind of similar activity. We have the logo that I mentioned earlier. You can show confetti. You can max out the confetti. I personally think confetti is like sprinkles. The more, the merrier. So I usually max it out. You can customize the colors by selecting that little checkbox. I usually have it just go to the primary color, but if I selected that checkbox, I can choose a couple different colors if I want it. You can show the face paint. There's a few different options with the face paint. The one that I selected was swirls. And again, you can max out the alpha. You can, how opaque you want it. The face logo, right now it's over the left eye. It's kind of hard to see right there, but if you look closely, that the logo is over the left eye. And what's really neat about this, if you actually try it, it moves with your eye. Like it's an augmented reality. It actually moves with your eye, and that's a really neat feature of it. And then the logo position, right now it's a default the top right, but you can totally customize that however you want it, the size, the X and the Y radius, or axis, I'm sorry. And then the banner, I just kept the same image on the banner, but you can actually customize it. You can choose different ones. And if you go back to the Bengals one, I have Who Day, and actually took away the top icon. So you can really customize it to however it is that you want it to be. Okay? And you can even add an audio element if you've ever again, talking about Bengals, there's the Who Day song. So whenever I've done this, I would have the song on automatic. So after you build it, after you create it, you can send it to your Snapcode. You can send it to your Snapchat account. And it's pretty simple. You would click send to Snapchat, and then you pair it. If it's a new one, pair the new account, Snapchat account. It shows the snap code. You just get your app, and then you pair it. The project info, if you click right here, it'll give you the option to change the icon. So whenever you select a new filter, there's that little icon circle that's on the bottom, and that's what you would see there. You can give it a name. The name they have some limitations like no spaces, certain number of characters, but you can give it a custom name. You can choose front or rear camera. You can choose spectacles if you want, but I don't think they're really happening right now a whole lot with spectacles. And you can show a hint. So sometimes when you have a filter, you got to tap, you got to do this, you got to open your mouth, you got to smile, you got to do something. You can give the user a hint. And then you would click apply, and then you would publish the lens. And when you publish the lens, it would go to your Snapchat account, and you can choose between business lens or community lens. Business lens is, for business purposes. Community lens is what I spend like 90% of my time doing, just because it's fun. I have a lot of fun doing it. Like I said, it's a good combination of technology, creativity, and it gives me a different outlet. I mentioned earlier, I work a lot with AWS. AWS is very analytical, and I need that creativity break that Lens Studio gives me. So anyways, community lens, and you submit a new lens, and then you're able to give it some more details. You can choose if you want it to be public or if you want it to be private. Mine are usually public. You can give a preview. That preview is captured. If you go to this screen here in the bottom right-hand corner, there is like a little square thing, and you can actually save a preview using that. So if anybody is looking for filters, or they're playing with it, they're exploring, they can kind of give an idea of what this is going to look like. You can give it up to 2 different categories. One is required. The ones I have here are events and self-expression appearance. You can give it tags. And is anybody here familiar with marketing, SEO, anything? Got some people? Okay. So tags can make a difference, right? So the same thing goes with Lens Studio and Snapchat filters. There's different types of tags. Snapchat will make a recommendation to a user on what you might be interested in looking at. So those tags will help deliver to the right audience. You can add a scan trigger, like if you're looking for a dog or a cat or something like that. And then those are the things that you really need to add. And then you would hit submit, and it takes maybe a couple minutes, not very long. And then that's it. It's live if you've made it public. And you can share it with a snap code. It gives you a snap code right here. Or you can click on this button, and it will actually give you the link if you want to share it on other social media platforms. Yeah. And like I said, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them at the end. But let's just go ahead. Is everything okay on the Discord? Okay, cool. Thank you. So community lens insights. So I like data. Give me a clap if you like data. Data is awesome. Data gives you insights, and insights give you knowledge. Knowledge gives you power. Power to make decisions and figure out what's working. So Lens Insights, and this is one of my favorite features about Lens Studio and Snapchat, it gives you a lot of great data with community filters. Sometimes if other platforms, you only get data if it's a paid advertisement. But Lens Studio will actually give you some good insights. So that can be like total plays, total views, total shares, total favorites. And also give you some demographics such as the gender, age, countries, and additional demographic information. So this is my personal account. You can see it's community lenses of all time. And I started playing with this really in depth in March 2020. Who remembers what happened in March 2020? Nothing happened. Everything stopped. So I needed a new hobby because traveling was just not happening. But anyways, so since March 2020, I've had over 3 million plays, almost 3.5 million views, over 65,000 shares, and over 4,300 favorites on my filters. And you can see it gives you a date-by-date chart. Something happened on 4/28. I can't remember if I made a new filter that day or something, but it went over 4,500. And for me personally, I find that it's like motivating. So it's fun to create things, but if you don't know how they're being received, you don't know if there's anybody using them, and you just don't know if you don't know, this is when I talk about data. I really like data. This gives me some motivation to continue to explore and see what's working and creating filters. And whenever I talk to high school students and trying to get them engaged with computer science, I show them as a way to kind of fuel the fire, carrot at the end of the stick, whatever you want to call it. When I worked in higher ed, I was a computer science program manager, and I cannot tell you the number of students that I saw when they saw computer science, they quickly ran the other way. And it's just, they said it was boring or scary or just something, and it's not necessarily the case. But you got to give them an incentive to kind of get over the hard, right? Because it can be hard. And this can be a really great incentive. Them seeing data on what's being popular and how it's being used can be good, an enticement for them to continue to get past the hard and get more creative. As I mentioned earlier, there's a community audience demographics. You can see the approximate potential audience, the ratio of male to female, the average age is 24, and it gives it a breakdown between 13 and 35 plus on the age and the gender, which helps me identify who my audience is. So whenever I try to talk to high schools or do computer science workshops or just try to talk about the concepts of how Lens Studio can be part of an education program, I had a meeting with a global lead of SNAP a couple of months ago talking about how Lens Studio can be a great way to break the barrier and get more interest in computer science. And one example of that is JavaScript. So if you're trying to teach or trying to learn JavaScript, or you're trying to get students interested in JavaScript, Lens Studio is built off of JavaScript. Whenever I taught in higher ed, the lists or the assignments that we usually had within the curriculum was make a to-do list. And to-do lists are great, but they're kind of boring at the same time. And this allows them to have a little bit more creativity and, again, kind of entice them to learn a little bit more. And Lens Studio scripts are written in JavaScript, and there are some things that are specific to Lens Studio, but what I really like about the fact this can introduce JavaScript on a platform they're already curious and playing with. So Lens Studio comes with a number of helper scripts to help add interactivity without you having to write your own code, but you can customize it. You can use the scripts that it provides, and you can customize it. There's behavior scripts that allow you to define triggers, such as an event, like mouth opens and responses. You have a tween manager to add tweens and animations to objects in your scene. And you have the UI to allow or to add buttons, color pickers, and more. You can use the built-in editor with Lens Studio, or you can use another external editor such as VS Code. To get started adding JavaScript, we go back to our screen here. Now you'll notice that there is nothing really added here, like this is plain. It's pretty bare bones because this is just a new project with not any kind of template. So we talked about earlier using a template to just get familiar with the platform or the dashboard, and now we're going to kind of take it to the next level, removing the guardrails, so to speak, and just customize. So to add a script, we would go to the resources section, and there's a plus symbol. Then you would just basically choose to add a script. And on the far right side, you can see that there's an option to use external editor or built-in editor. In this demo, we're using the built-in editor. And what we have the script, you can see it's using JS code, it's commented out. And we just got a sample code in there right now. Now, for this to actually work on anything, it's got to be assigned to an object. Now remember, on the left-hand side, we have objects, and we can add an object by hitting the little plus symbol. And then there's an option. There's a variety of options, and we're just going to choose scene object 0 as the default. So you can see that we have the object selected on the left-hand side, and in the inspector, you see also the same name of scene object 0. Now by default, the script is not assigned to it. Basically, all you need to do is hit Add Component and choose Script, or you can just drag it from the resources all the way to the inspector panel. It's very easy to add it and attach it to that script. And down there on the bottom, the logger will display the print message that we have here. So we changed the code a little bit, create a variable, intro, welcome to Star Trek, and it's printing that. And you can see it's printing it down here in the logger. They call it the logger, but you're probably more familiar with it like console log. So this can be if you're trying to, if you're trying to teach somebody, I know nobody's here in education, but if you were trying to get somebody enticed in JavaScript, them seeing something like this could help them, and pique their curiosity a little bit. So now we're going to add a few more things here to customize it a little bit more. On the left-hand side, we added another object. Basically, we added another screen image, 0, and with that, it automatically added these other cameras and other dependencies. On the resources, I added the Star Trek logo again. In the inspector, you can see that the screen image 0 is selected, and the inspector is screen image 0. I changed this default where it's just basically a default image, and I changed that, and I select the Star Trek logo that I uploaded earlier, hit OK. And now I have the Star Trek logo. So we are going back to the scene object. We're going to actually declare a scene object property named event activity. So one of the things that are specific about Lens Studio using JavaScript is that you need to declare the properties. So that's with the little forward slashes, the add input, scene object, and event activity. And what it's doing, you will actually see in the inspector panel, it's adding the event activity, which I don't think I grabbed the screenshot from that, but it's adding that specific property here for the scene object. And here for the event activity, we can select screen image 0, which you see is here, the screen image 0, which we added earlier to make it to that logo. So, it's kind of, once you start adding some more and more objects, you can see, like, you might want to add a little bit more clarifying names, like trying to remember what's what. So another nice feature about Lens Studio is if you can rename it by right-clicking rename, and then we'll also automatically update it here. So it helps you have a better idea of where your assets are and what you're doing. And this is a very simple, demo, but you can imagine as you're adding more and more assets and resources and properties that it can be it's a lot. And Lens Studio has a really great documentation. They've done such a great job on their documentation. So there's a variety of APIs that you can use. And so this right here, I just finished the script. And basically all it's doing is, script event activity. If it's not enabled, if it's false, that's what we're looking for. And the function is the tap. We're looking for a tap event. So if it's not enabled, the little exclamation point means it's not, then it will become enabled once we tap it. Else, it will become unenabled. So it's just a basically if-else statement. And not AWS, sorry, talk about AWS a lot. Lens Studio and Snapchat, they have a lot of great resources to give you some guidance on that. And here's a screenshot from the documentation. So do I have any artists in here? 2D, 3D? Anybody like to play with artists? So I like Blender. I am horrible at Blender. It just is. I would love to be better at it. But for any of the artists, one of the reasons that I also talk about this in schools is because if you have a digital art class or if you have any artists that not sure how to apply it in computer science, they just don't know where the interest lies or the connection. They can create the art, whether it's 2D, 3D. It also supports Giphy images. And you can actually upload your own, you can make your own filter using your own artwork. So this is something, again, that they can create, they can customize, and they can share. One of my favorite stories whenever I was doing a computer science workshop at a high school, and we created an augmented reality filter. It wasn't not with Lens Studio or Snapchat, it was another platform. And it was really fun because the students, they were playing with it, they were just exploring the different things that they could do. And they were just having a lot of fun with it. And then one student, he told me that my visit didn't suck as much as he thought it was going to. And I'm like, thank you. But, because they enjoyed it. And then this kind of goes into they don't know what they don't know. I don't know what I don't know until somebody exposes me to it. So if you have any interest in 3D art, you're not sure where to bring that with the technology side or have a platform to share it, Lens Studio could be a really great platform to do that. Again, if you go back to the documentation, it has a lot of great resources on how to import it. It's very well done. It gives you screenshots, as you can kind of see in the background, that I can't say enough good things about the documentation. And I've worked with some bad documentation. Has anybody ever tried to look up how to do something on AWS on old documentation? On a console that changes a lot. But anyways, Snapchat, Lens Studio, they've done really good. So, where to go? They actually have a lot of great resources, and if you grab the Linktree link, have it as one of the links in there. But it's forbusiness.snapchat.com/resources/snapfocus. And if I know some of you guys are interested in marketing, some of you guys might be interested in art, and there's maybe something else I didn't even think about to ask that you have something that you have an interest in. So there's courses. Snapchat has courses to help you strategize and how to promote your products. If you're an entrepreneur and you're trying to sell some products, this could be a great way to get your products in front of the audience. Plan and buy, so if you want to do something with Ads Manager, this gives you some insight on how to utilize that. You can create, this gives you some information on how to create. I just did a very short tutorial, but there's a lot of great things that you can do with it. Now this is a screenshot from the business ads. Even though Lens Studio gives you a lot of great insights from the free community lens, if it kind of makes sense. If you do the business ads, you're going to get even more data. So another great resource that talks about things that are happening with Snapchat and Lens Studio is this Snap Partner Summit, which was last month, if I remember correctly. But that's the link, and there's a lot of recordings on videos that might give you some inspiration if you're trying to figure out what to do with Lens Studio or Snapchat. So I think we're doing good on time. We'll do a short demo, just a few more slides here. This is one of the articles that I wrote for my website. And one of the things I want to kind of think about is careers with Lens Studio. So I'm a freelancer. All my stuff is freelancing. I like the flexibility of freelancing. But that might not be for everybody. But there's a lot of great growth in it. So there's a phrase here like the future favors the bold, and I think there's a lot of truth into that. But I prefer to think, because it makes me giggle, is stagnant water is often the stinkiest. Oxygenated water requires movement, and the same is true for us in our careers. We need new challenges and new curiosities for opportunities in growth and exploration. An example of this for me personally was you talking about JavaScript. I personally find JavaScript kind of boring. It's not my favorite thing. But I've over the years, as I want to grow as a Snapchat developer or as a Lens developer, I increased my skills in JavaScript, and that just comes naturally. I want to do it. Okay? So you can find me at LinkedIn, Twitter, on Discord. That's my cell phone number that you can feel free to text me out at any time. And I'm going to go ahead and transition to a demo. We got about, 20 minutes left? Is that right? Okay. I'm going to transition to a demo unless anybody has any questions right now. Just remember, I'm hearing impaired. Okay. And let's see. Hopefully this works. There we go. Okay. So Lens Studio is a download application, so I can do some things without the internet, just not everything. So what we're going to do is, boom, 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 boom. Let's see if I can see all the templates. There we go. So I'm in the Lens Studio. You can see there's a variety of templates. Yeah, there's just a large variety of things to explore and play with. So I'm going to go all the way, it's towards the end. Where is it? Team Celebrate. Okay. Okay. So this is kind of what we saw earlier. I am going to upload an image. And just get the one asset that I'm going to be using. All right. So that's good. And then what I'm going to do is go to Team Celebrate. You can see it's where it says Edit Me. And I'm on a Mac, so that's why mine pops up a little bit different. And this kind of looking like this. So I can choose whatever colors I want. Hit OK. And I can add a tertiary color if I want. Let's go ahead and go with that. The Star Trek logo. Okay. And what it did, because I chose a different image earlier, this one has a white background. The first image I showed had a transparent background. This one has a white background, so it's impacting the entire face, which is fine. But it also makes the little symbol over the eye a little bit more noticeable than it was in the other one. So knowing that, I can make some changes to the color if I want. Let's go ahead and make this a little bit darker. I can show the confetti. I can max out the confetti if I want. Oops, get rid of that. Okay. I can do custom colors on the confetti. I'm just going to leave it at default. I can show face paint or not, whatever I want on that. Show face paint. Let's see, show logo. So that on the left eye, the right eye, it changes the full face. It changes the left cheek. You can see it on the cheeks, right cheeks, both cheeks. Okay, so I'm going to leave it on full face. And I can increase the opacity of it. I can show the screen logo. So right now it's showing. I can turn it off if I don't want it on. I'm just going to leave it off right now. The banner image is going, right now it says goal. I can change that to whatever I want. I'm just going to keep using that. And I might reduce the opacity a little bit just because it does have that white background. I can change the location of that. Okay. And I can add an audio. I don't have an audio file downloaded right now, but but I could if I want to. And I'm actually going to turn off the confetti. I don't like the confetti on it. So I'm just going to go ahead and turn off the confetti. And I'm going to kind of go off script a little bit. I'm going to add another thing here that I didn't do in the demo. So we talked about JavaScript and how you can add customized script. If you hit the little plus symbol, and if you scroll down to helper scripts, there's already scripts that Lens Studio provides just to help you get started. And what I'm going to choose is the behavior script. So you can see that that behavior script is now added. I can click on it, and it should let me be able to see it. It's not letting me, oh, there it is. I got to look down here. There we go. So if I look into the resource and the behavior script, I can actually see the code that's in there. So if I wanted to go in here and customize something, there's a lot of behaviors that are covered in the behavior script, so I'm not going to touch it. But you can actually, customize the code that it provides you. Going back here and selecting behavior. Actually, I'm going to go back up here and selecting the Team Celebrate controller. I'm going to add component and add a script, add script. So I already added the behavior script earlier, so I'm just going to select that. So the behavior script, it has a variety of different triggers. If you've used Snapchat before, you remember maybe that if you look here, look there, open your mouth, close your mouth, smile, tap it, etc., that it does something. That's what this is doing, it's behaviors. So just do something simple, touch event, tap, and I'm going to leave the touch target alone. And the response type, I'm going to set enabled. And on the target, I'm going to select the, let's see where I'm at. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. The Team Celebrate controller edit me, I'm going to hit disable. And if I did this right, which I'm not sure right now. Let's see. What this should do, and let me add another thing here because it might not work on the properties itself. I'm going to add an image in here. Let's just go ahead and say we're going to add another image object. And I'm going to use the same thing here. I'm going to go to the scene. And we can see in the grid area, there's the object that we just loaded. And I can customize the size by clicking up here. You can pan it, you can move it, you can rotate it, you can resize it. I'm actually just going to resize it. And click on it again and move it. Oopsie. If I get it on the right, there we go. And this will be more interesting if I had different images, but for the sake of simplicity, I'm just using the same one. Okay, let's go back to our behavior. And tap, voice, response, set enabled. The target, I'm going to just choose that image object and hit toggle. Let's just hit toggle. Well, it should come off. I'm evidently not hitting something correctly. Let's add the script here, add behavior. Okay, enabled, target is that, disable. There we go. I think I had it on the wrong thing. I had the behavior on the wrong thing, I believe. Okay, toggle. Okay, it's not working for the toggle, but it's disabling. Might need to make some other changes in there. But basically, the takeaway from that is that you can add behavior script, and you can, if on a face event, you can choose mouth open, mouth closed, browse, face found, face lost, kiss started. So the takeaway from this is the fact that you can use this default behavior script and you can add behaviors. This is a very simplistic one and didn't quite work as I messed up somewhere. But you can customize it to do different types of events based off whatever behaviors you want your user to have. And you can have them, we showed earlier about how you can add hints, like if they need to smile, you can let them know that you need to smile, rear camera, front camera, etc. Okay. Any questions on that? Let's see, and then after you do that, you would send it to Snapchat, and then this is where internet is not our friend in here. I can't really do it, but it would send it to Snapchat. You can see what it looks like on here. The other thing that you can do is you can, like I mentioned earlier, you can do the different demographics. You can see what it would look like on different ethnicities, hair color, etc. And if you go to project information, you can, this is where I was shown earlier, you can change it. For the hint, you can give them some like smile, tap a surface, tap, etc. And then all we need to do is publish the lens, and this is where I would need the internet. I won't be able to finish that here. Okay. Okay. And for the, let me go ahead and close home. No, I don't want to save this. Okay. And here is another fun one. You can do this template is using segmentation. So the default is just got the little hearts in the background. I am going to upload another file. Let's go. Just find one. Okay. And for the segmentation, I'm just going to grab that. Oopsie, wrong one. So for the image texture, I'm sorry, it's going to grab the heart. It's going to change from the heart to the stir trek. So now we have the segmentation in the background. You can change the tile density to a bunch of the little icons or just one or larger icons. You can change the scrolling speed however you want it, or you can just no scroll if you want it just be a static way. And this is another example. This is one of the first things that I started doing when I was playing with Lens Studio is using this, because I was making a background for a client, and this was all this is how I kind of got started doing it. If I wanted a static image, I could do that. If I wanted some movement, I could do that. Let's see. With the segmentation, if you want to kind of continue to customize the segmentation, right now it's portrait background, but you can do portrait hair. That's kind of neat. You can do portrait skin, shoulder, face. That's interesting. Head, sky, which is fairly similar to the background. I don't think it just captures, I don't think it does it on the bottom. Body, upper garment, Lower garment, there's not a visual of that. Full garment, and footwear. We don't have a visual of footwear. But you can see how you can just take this one template and you can really customize it. I kind of like the hair. Won't leave it at that. But anyways, you can customize it. You can take a template and customize it however you need it. And I think I have about 5 more minutes. Show one more other thing, if I can. I can't remember if I need the internet to do this or not. But let's see, objects. Actually, it might have been under resources. Asset library, yeah, I need the internet. So there's a wide variety of asset libraries items that's already got like pre-built images. So I mentioned 3D art, 2D art earlier. For my 2D art, I either use Procreate or Canva. 3D art, like I said, I'm horrible at it, but there's a lot of great resources, digital assets that you can use that's already pre-made for it. You can just import them in. And it looks like you do need the internet, though. So that is pretty much it. Similar thing, you can change the project info. You can send it to Snapchat. You can play with it. You can, customize it. Right here on the bottom, right here says iPhone 13 Pro. You can change the devices. But this gives you a way to preview it without actually having to use your phone if you're not able to. And then again, you would publish it like in the instructions I said earlier. Any questions? What do you guys think of that filter with the hair? I like it. Thank you. When we get done, I'm going to finish that. But anyways, questions, comments, concerns is how I usually end a class. Yes. And like I said, there's a Snapchat. There's my cell phone. Feel free to text me. I'm on Discord. Whatever your poison is, pick your poison. Let me know. Okay? Thank you, guys. I appreciate your time.